Looking out at this room where it's standing room only, people are sitting on the floor, I just feel at home among my fellow democracy geeks. Yeah. Because only true democracy lovers would have navigated LA marathon traffic on a Sunday afternoon to sit in a room with no air conditioning in the valley. I love you guys. Thank you. Well, I have the honor of introducing our next and our final speaker, Kimberly Ellis. I guess I should say who I am first. My name is Erika Feresten. I am one of your newly elected delegates for Assembly District 50. And before that, I was a delegate for Bernie Sanders. Well, like guaranteed health care, there's enough Bernie for everyone. So. And I'm also a graduate of Emerge, California, which is where I first met Kimberly, who served as the executive political director for the past 7 years. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Emerge program, Emerge recruits and trains pro-choice Democratic women to run for state and local office. They've got a pretty impressive success rate of 68% of Emerge alum women who have run in elections have won their elections. In fact, several of my 2015 classmates went on to win public office. Mara Elliott down in San Diego was up against the Old Boys Network and was outspent by over $100,000, and she still won her election for city attorney. Heidi Harmon, some of you may know her. She was a delegate for Bernie Sanders. She was in a very close, intense election for mayor of San Luis Obispo, where she beat a 2-term incumbent by 7 votes. So every vote does count. A couple of my Northern California Emerge sisters went on to win seats for city council, and one of them, Rochelle Purdue Okimoto, won a seat in El Cerrito, and she is also one of our beloved fellow nurses, as well as my Emerge sister. And several LA ladies here have won seats to the county central committee. So Emerge is fantastic, and I can go on about that, but the point is this. So where it was Bernie who fired me up, and is still firing me up, it was Kimberly Ellis and my Emerge training that gave me and so many other women the tools and the skills necessary to get elected to positions where we can further the change that we wish to see. So Kimberly also has an amazing record on fundraising and recruitment and winning, but that stuff's all Googleable, so you can Google it. I want to just share a little bit with you about what she's like as a leader. I have an expression that I use when I give workshops and seminars, and that is, government is the art of believing, demonstrating, and legislating that people matter. All people matter. And that is in Kimberly's DNA. I experienced this when I was in Emerge. You know, executive director is a lot of times a position where somebody sits in an office and raises money and runs everything. And while she did that, Emerge was a 7-month training program that was pretty intense, where we would begin on a Friday night at 6:30, go till 10, Saturday morning 8 a.m., till 5:30, then do an event from 6:30 to 10, and Sunday half the day. And Kimberly Ellis was in every single training from beginning to end. That's the kind of executive director that she is. She was in it with us. Also, a few years ago, she mentored my run for a small position within my children's elementary school. When there was nothing she nor Emerge could benefit from helping me with this, I hadn't been a big donor, I didn't owe her any favors, and a victory couldn't even be used to pad that stellar 68% win record. But that didn't matter, because she knows that all races matter when your goal is to replace apathy with passion, like it is for Kimberly. Kimberly Ellis is the type of leader who knows when to knock on a door and when to kick it down. She is stirring the ranks and leading the charge by taking us beyond resistance and what we are fighting against, and to persistence and what we are fighting for.
Right.
Yes, she understands that a supermajority isn't unanimous consent, and it is not the finish line. It's a beginning. Kimberly Ellis is a no excuses, all solutions kind of change maker. And she's running for chair of the California Democratic Party to rebuild it from the grassroots up so that it's people-powered and not just a donor motor. So, kind of bottom line, if Kimberly Ellis could equip so many women, including this housewife and mother of two, with what it takes to go from being an average dejected voter to being a fired-up elected delegate or office holder, imagine what she can do for our Democratic Party. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, democracy lovers and revolutionaries, please welcome the next chair of the California Democratic Party, Kimberly Ellis.
Oh, my heart is full right now. Thank you so much, Erika, for everything that you give and for how you stand in this world. We need more stay-at-home moms like you to get fired up and to get off the sidelines and to get in this fight. Because make no mistake about it, this is a fight. It's the fight of our life. I want to thank the organizers for today, the Democracy Project. I want to thank John, Katrina, Michelle, Marcella, Marlon. Thank you so much for everything you did, and thank you for all of you for coming out and sharing part of your weekend today. Yeah. I also want to thank the California Nurses Association. We got any nurses in the house today? To the California Nurses, we're not only the first organization to endorse my campaign and to stand next to me, but the nurses have been trailblazers for a long time. They have been the ones who have been on the forefront of standing up for and speaking out for those who don't have a voice, and standing up and speaking out for what is right, even if it is not, quote unquote, politically correct to do so. And so I want to thank you, nurses, for leading the way and for showing all of us what courage looks like, what it sounds like, what it smells like, what it feels like. I want to say that you have my commitment as the next chair of the California Democratic Party to make sure that SB 562, single-payer Medicare for all, becomes a reality here in California. I want to share with you all that my campaign to be the next chair of the California Democratic Party is very similarly aligned with the work of the nurses. See, this is a campaign that is about fairness and equity and justice, not just for some, but for all. See, I'm running to be the next chair of the California Democratic Party, not just to bring a new voice to this party, not just to bring a new perspective to this party. I'm running not just to change the tone, the tenor, and the culture of our politics, but I'm running to be the next chair of the California Democratic Party to redefine what it means to be a Democrat. See, I grew up as a military kid. My dad was an officer in the Army, so that meant that every 3 years we moved around. We had a new home. I had the incredible experience of spending my elementary school years at the Presidio in San Francisco. Not a bad place to grow up. My middle school years were spent in the Midwest and in the South. And I attended high school on the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. So, claro que sí, hablo un poquito español. Yes. I graduated from high school and ended up in Florida, Jacksonville University. And 2 weeks into my freshman year, I met my then boyfriend, now husband, who was out there on a basketball scholarship. He was born and raised in Richmond, California. And after I graduated, I followed him back out here. We've been together ever since, about 25 years. Yes, no kidding. Being married for 25 years is no small feat. But even though we had the opportunity and I traveled all around, Tennessee was always home base for me. See, I was born in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I grew up with an old school Southern Baptist grandma, and she was the matriarch of our family. And I remember my grandma telling me at a very, very early age what it meant to be a Democrat. And my grandma taught me, Democrats are the ones who care about poor people. Democrats are the ones who care about the working class. Democrats are the ones who are in the soup kitchens making sure that the hungry are fed. Democrats are the ones who will run a coat drive to make sure that the kids have warm coats. And Democrats are the ones who will fundraise to make sure the domestic violence shelter stays open. So I grew up with a very, very strong understanding of what it meant to be a Democrat. And one of the lessons that I took away from the November 8th election is that if we really are going to rebuild this party, we're going to have to be able to facilitate difficult conversations amongst ourselves and tell hard truths. And the hard truth of the matter is that our party is at a crossroads. See, the Democratic Party as an institution and some of our leaders at the highest level have forgotten what it means to be a Democrat. They have lost their ways. They have forgotten our values. They have forgotten that this is the party of the people. This is the party of the voiceless. And so, we launched a 7-point plan a couple weeks ago that talked about getting this party back on track by getting us back to basics. Make no mistake about it. This is a reform campaign. This is about systems change. It's about changing the system, getting it back to basics, getting it back to being the party of the people. So I won't go through the 7 steps that we laid out, but I want to share with you a couple of them that are near and dear to my heart. First and foremost, this party has to get back to what it used to be masterful at. And that is organizing at the local level all across this state. All across the state. See, the way the party currently functions, we spend way too much money on high-paid consultants and TV media buys. I want to shift and deploy those resources. I want to invest them in people. I want to invest them in grooming the next generation of community organizers. I hear all the time, how are we going to bring people back into this party? See, because no party preference, decline to state, independent, Green Party registration is outpacing Democratic registration by a rate of 4-1. How do we bring those people back into this party? We got to get away from letting our mail pieces do the talking for us and letting the TV, like our friend said, letting the TV do the talking for us. We got to roll up our sleeves. We got to dig into these communities, not just a couple months before an election, but 365 days out of the year. We got to do the hard work of knocking on doors and having the one-on-one, human-to-human conversation to talk about issues that are important to us. How are we going to bring people back in this party? We're going to organize. We're going to organize at the local level around issues that are important to us, like affordable housing, Medicare for all, jobs, not just any jobs, well-paying jobs. That's how we're going to bring people back into this party. Truth of the matter is, people are running from this party. They're sitting out on the sidelines. They're throwing up their hands because they don't trust this party anymore. they don't believe in this party anymore. Part of the reason they don't believe in the Democratic Party is because we take money from the same bad actors that the other side takes their money from. So if we want to bring more people back into this party, we got to be willing to have those difficult conversations, to engage in dialogue and conversation, to connect the dots, to make the case and show the value, the role, and the relevance that this party is playing in their everyday lives. And to not just talk about our progressive values, but to make sure we are living our progressive values in everything that we do. Number two, we have to get away from a party and a state that says, you know, we are big blue California. Let's pat ourselves on the back. Let's be self-congratulatory. You know, look at us. Look at how great we are. You know, granted, we had some incredible electoral successes. California does a lot of great things. We lead the country in many ways. But let me share this with you. There's still a lot of work to be done. I had a conversation with a Democratic elected legislator a couple weeks ago. I gave him a call, like I did with all the legislators, and reached out. You know, so I want to introduce myself. I'm Kimberly Ellis. I'm running to be the next chair of this party. I want to share with you my vision for rebuilding this party in a bigger, better, bolder way. And he interrupted me. You know, guys do that a lot sometimes. He interrupted me and he said, listen here. He said, we have a supermajority in both of our legislative chambers. All of our constitutional officers are Democrats. We have a Democratic governor. What more work is there to be done? Yeah. And I thought, My very first thought was, this is somebody who is speaking from an incredible place of privilege, right? Someone who didn't just come off of a 6-day road trip like I had to the Central Valley. Someone who had probably never stepped foot in Kern County to know that Kern County has the worst air quality in the entire nation. Right? Someone who didn't understand or didn't get the memo that even with that supermajority, which, by the way, we had a few years ago, we still haven't been able to, and by the way, no excuses this time, we still haven't been able to pass single-payer Medicare for all, right? What about that supermajority? How is it that we could only manage to regulate fracking as opposed to banning fracking? And what about that supermajority? You talk a good game about really caring about education. Well, news flash, California is 47th in the nation. You really want to talk about putting some more money back in education? Let's have a conversation about reforming Proposition 13, shall we? So I'm not interested in what you got to say about a supermajority if you're not going to use that supermajority to continue to move forward progressive legislation. Because the truth of the matter is, until we can get Medicare for all, until we can ban fracking, until we can reform Proposition 13, until every kid goes to sleep with a full stomach, until everybody has a warm bed to sleep in, until everybody has a roof over their head, there is still much work to be done here in the great state of California. That position of being so good that we don't have any work to be done. I want to get away from just investing time, energy, money, and resources in our safe blue Democratic counties, right? Because it's not easy to win as a Democrat in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's not hard to win as a Democrat down here in LA County. But what about our purple counties, our red counties, and our rural counties? Because the truth of the matter is, we're not so much a blue state as we are a state with blue coasts. All along the coastline, it's blue, right? But once you start moving in, we turn purple, we turn red, and we have our rural counties. It is time for this party to get in the game the way that the Republicans have gotten in the game. We need to start doing something they've been doing for a long time, and that is to play the long game. See, because the truth of the matter is, today, in big blue progressive California, the majority of elected officials at the local level are Republicans. okay? They've been planting those seeds. They've been filling that pipeline. They've been building their bench, and those people currently sit on our school boards, on our city councils, on our water boards, on our boards of supervisors. So we might have a supermajority today, but where are we going to be in 10 years? Well, when we look up, guess who's going to be coming up from the back? The Republicans, ready to take those legislative chambers. So we have to get in the game right now of planting those seeds, of building our local talent. And so I want to make sure we're investing money and resources and time and energy in those purple counties and those red counties and those rural counties, because you know what? Those counties are just as important as our blue counties. Every county in California matters. Every county. And finally, I want to do something that no chair of the party has done with this position. You know, you get a big microphone and a big platform and a big bully pulpit when you're the chair of the largest, most influential, most powerful state party in the entire country. And I want to use this platform and this bully pulpit to hold our Democratic elected officials accountable to us, the people. I want to make sure that we remind our Democratic elected officials that if you come to this party, if you get our endorsement, if you get our money, if you get our sweat equity, then you should remember that your number one concern as a Democrat from the great state of California is not to protect your incumbency. It's not to protect the status quo. It's not to continue feeding the money interests. No, see, your number one concern as a Democrat from California is to make sure that you are a representative for your people and for your constituents and the voice of the voiceless. That is your number one concern. And so having a Democratic Party chair who has the courage of her conviction, who is not afraid to say, I'm not in this to be your friend. You know, I'm sure I will make some beautiful friendships along the way, but I'm not in this to be your friend. And, you know, I've heard along the campaign trail, you know, Kimberly, you know, maybe you should, you know, watch what you say because you're ruffling a few feathers and, you know, you got some of the electeds nervous. You know, you're talking about doing away with super delegates. Well, you know what? We do need to do away with the super delegates. But having someone who will hold our feet to the fire is something that we need in our chair. And that is something that I'm committed to doing. And so, you know, one of the questions that I get asked often is, what is the difference between you and your opponent? And I actually like to reframe that question. See, because one of the things that we talk about at Emerge California, a truism when it comes to elections, and that is that elections are never about the candidate. No, see, elections are always about the voters. And so this race for who will be the next chair of the California Democratic Party, it's not about Kimberly Ellis, and it's not about my opponent. This is about the heart and soul of this party. This is about what we want to rebuild coming out of this. It's about what we want people to think about when they hear the word Democrat. It's about what kind of values and principles we stand for. That is what this is about. And so there's a difference in visions in the two candidates. There's a difference in where we want to take this party, and there's a big difference in leadership style. And so what I would share with you is that mine is the kind of leadership that believes in bottom-up grassroots organizing as opposed to machine top-down politics. Mine is a kind of leadership that believes that we should be funding this party through individual small dollar donations as opposed to corporate interests like big pharma and big oil and tobacco. Mine is the kind of leadership that believes in transparency and openness, not backroom deals in smoke-filled rooms. Mine is the kind of leadership that believes that we should be sharing power in order to empower the masses, not collapsing and consolidating power into the hands of a few. And so that is the question that is before you. is what kind of leadership do you want at the top of this party, setting the tone and the direction of this party? This is an inflection moment in time right now. This is an opportunity for us as Democrats to take a collective pause, to take a long, hard look in the mirror, and to decide where we want to go from here. This is an opportunity for us as Californians, the 6th largest economy in the world, to do something that only California can do. And that is to flex our political, our organizing, and our fundraising muscle to push progressive legislation, not just here in California, but throughout the rest of the country. Because everybody knows, as California goes, so goes the nation. Let's show exactly what it means to be a Democrat.